Again with the latest on Tropical Storm Idalia. At this hour, the storm just east of the Outer Banks. It's continuing to bring heavy wind and rain and high tides in the area as it moves out.
Looking live right now from Avon Pier there on the Outer Banks, and you could see the impacts of Idalia right there. I mean, the surf is rough. You can see the pier off in the background. But as the storm moves away from the coast, officials say its impacts will still last well into the Labor Day weekend. That's because right now there's a higher risk for riptides. So if you plan to head to the beach along the Carolina coast this weekend, make sure you stay safe.
And right now, some people are starting to pick up the pieces in areas where the storm left behind widespread damage. New video this morning shows the destruction to homes, businesses, and more after Idalia ripped through parts of the Carolinas.
That's right, but those powerful winds were only half the equation. Perhaps the bigger concern, flooding. Major cities along the coast, including Charleston, experienced massive flooding, which at this point has eased at most parts during this hour. We've got team coverage right now. In a moment, meteorologist Chris Mulcahy, he's going to join us with a look at the current conditions out there that we've outlined. But first, let's start with NBC's Wendy Wolfook, who's on the ground in Charleston.
The sun is out, but Idalia is relentless as residents as far north as Virginia are feeling its rain bands and gusty winds. There is a tropical storm warning, though, still in effect for the entire coast of North Carolina. But here in South Carolina, last night's high tide was the 5th highest in Charleston history, 9.2 feet, and exacerbated by the storm surge and supermoon. But the cleanup in Florida is only the beginning, as the Big Bend region took the brunt of the storm. They are sifting through countless downed trees and power lines and destroyed structures that were simply no match for Idalia's strength. Thousands from Florida and Georgia to the Carolinas are without power, and that brutal summer heat here in the South is only going to make things worse. If there is one glimmer of hope, forecasters are predicting that Idalia will head back out to sea at some point this afternoon. That's the latest here in Charleston. I'm Wendy Wolfook. Now back to you.
All right, Wendy, thanks. Let's go ahead and bring in meteorologist Chris Mulcahy. Chris, what are we seeing out there right now?
Well, I'm happy to say that it's pretty much almost over. Still raining in the Outer Banks. Winds right now at 60 miles per hour, so things are still rocking and rolling for the Outer Banks. But most of the core of the storm is further off towards the east. I think we just have some lingering rain that's left over. As far as the rain went for our area, we saw up to around an inch. Really, it's about that half inch to 3/4 of an inch was the top. And then areas like Lincolnton only saw up to about a 1/10. But look at some of these rain totals. It was really the Carolinas that got the main brunt as far as the rainfall, up to around a foot. Now, these are just estimates. I think that we did bank on about 8 to 9 inches for some of the extremes, but really that's 6 to 9 right on the South Carolina, North Carolina border. And putting this in perspective, because of how quickly it moved onshore, we actually had more flooding here from rain in the Carolinas than we did in Florida from the system and also Georgia. Here's the last bit of the rain. So it's really turning light rain from Wilmington up into the Outer Banks. Still moderate rainfall in there, but the worst of that is now cleared. Just some upper level clouds shown from Lylesville. That's the closest camera that we have to all the action, and things are just looking great. Look at this. Our Monroe camera looking glorious. 75 degrees, feeling amazing. Why? Because our dew points are around 60. This is what you like. That's right around the sticky range, so you're still kind of feeling a decent range for sure for the last day of August. Hour by hour forecast, high temperatures only in the lower 80s, so a much better day than yesterday. Enjoy the sunshine while we have it, but get ready for a cooler trend. Only down to 60 degrees. Yeah, 60 degrees tonight. That's a cool low. And then lower 80s the next couple of days. 90s are here before you know it. Coming up, I'll let you know when we're back to 90 plus, how long we stay there, and your next chance for rain.
Well, in Florida, recovery efforts are underway after Idalia made landfall there as a Category 3 hurricane. This is a look at what's left behind in Cedar Key. It was one of the hardest hit areas.
President Biden reassuring residents there that help is on the way. And FEMA has resources at the ready to respond to those in need. NBC's Bree Jackson now in Washington with the latest.
The Biden administration says that it has more than 1,500 federal responders in the areas hit by Idalia. And President Biden said he directed the head of FEMA to travel to Florida and to meet with Governor DeSantis. Hurricane Idalia tore through parts of the southeast, leaving flooding and damage behind. President Biden promising to help.
We're going to be there for whatever they need.
The president spoke with the governors of the impacted states, including Florida's Ron DeSantis, who is running to replace Biden in 2024.
There's a lot to do, but I think the quick response is helping everybody get back on their feet.
FEMA's administrator will be on the ground in Florida today to help assess the damage.
It's far too early to even estimate what the cost is. It's still unsafe in many parts to even go out.
Recently, DeSantis and other Republicans accused the Biden administration of being too slow in its response to the Maui wildfires. President Biden pledging the federal government's full support for Hawaii, Florida, and other states.
My God, how can we not respond to these needs? And so I'm confident, even though there's a lot of talk from some of our friends up on the Hill about the cost, we got to do it. This is the United States of America.
The Biden administration is also working with state and local officials in Georgia and the Carolinas. Red Cross volunteers from across the country are heading to impacted communities.
They'll see the very large Red Cross vehicle coming through their streets. They'll know that it's a beacon of hope.
Officials urge Americans to remain vigilant as severe weather continues. And the Biden administration is also warning of an increase in severe weather events. During his remarks on Wednesday, President Biden said there's no denying the climate crisis and discussed efforts his administration is taking to address that issue. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.